I'm excited about being here. I tell you, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and my wife and I were just talking about this last night, that how God has placed people in strategic positions to do His divine work. And that is pretty cool. And whether it's business or the church or whether it's social services, it's very, very cool. Okay. I have a slide I want to show you here. In January of 1964, President Lyndon Johnson declared unconditional war on poverty in America. Unfortunately, this was also a time when many churches left the battlefield. This is what they said. We have not lost our compassion for the poor. In fact, we just simply want to see what government can do to win this war. And after all, President Johnson said that he wanted to help the poor help themselves and not become dependent on government aid. Well, in the meantime, many churches said, our role will be better served in prayer, meeting spiritual needs only, and we'll give money to social service agencies. And so this is what happened across the United States. Well, during the 80s and 90s, while I served in the staff of churches in Oklahoma, and Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, there were many congregations that were not providing direct services to people in need. This was also true in my hometown of Florence, Alabama, where I live now, where churches did not provide direct services. Instead, they directed all their aid to the help center in our community. And this is some of the reasons why they said they did this. They said our resources are limited, and we must be good stewards of what God and our members provide. We cannot risk being fooled by scammers, those who go door to door with dishonest motives and suspicious stories. And they said, besides, the needs of the poor are so complex. Our staff and volunteers are not equipped to handle this complexity, which we believe is better suited for trained professionals. And besides that, we don't know what social services are available in our community. I'm sure the poor know better than we do. But things began to change for me in January of the year 2000. I turned all of my attention toward collaborative missional outreach in my community. I wish I had time to elaborate on that. This was a unique time for me. Well, for one thing, I've always had great passion for this. The Lord's given me wonderful opportunities to work with visionary leaders who truly care about the community, people, its potential, its possibilities. I've collaborated with many Christian leaders across the country. I've coordinated several missional projects myself on a grand scale, including citywide evangelistic crusades, ecumenical prayer gatherings, and more. But I often wondered if the church would be willing to work together to address social and economic needs. Well, it took a hurricane for me to get an answer to that question. Al? Y'all remember Hurricane Katrina? How many raise your hand out there remember Hurricane Katrina? Wow. When Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast in 2005, many lives were lost. Communities were destroyed. Over 1 million people were displaced. Hundreds of families sought refuge in my neck of the woods in northwest Alabama. Churches, the Red Cross, the United Way, and others all scrambled to meet the needs of families who had lost everything. Unfortunately, resources ran dry quickly because of a lack of coordination and a lack of unity among us, admittedly. And in October of 2006, a believer, Tina Scott, she was the director of the United Way of Northwest Alabama, walked into my office. She came to me asking for help. She knew that I, along with my son and others, had just launched a technology company. She hoped that we could provide a web-based solution to improve disaster preparedness and resource mobilization. And she wanted something low cost and very simple to use. That's a story in and of itself. So we got together, and together in a collaborative format, we created Charity Tracker, as it's known today. This innovative networking tool made it easier for churches, nonprofit, and others to work together more efficiently and effectively. Now, here's the amazing part of that story. What was only meant to be a local solution for our community only has now evolved into a national model that's used by thousands of helping agencies in over 1,200 cities across the country. And we grow at a rate of 100 new cities each year. I'm telling you, God's at work. Over the past year, I have witnessed remarkable change in how churches are engaged in their communities. Churches are realizing that they are the largest repository of caring power and volunteer help in their communities. They are learning how to connect, learn from each other, and collaborate for the faith, social, and economic well-being of others. From our vantage point, we are seeing a trend among groups that are working together over time. As these groups become more efficient at managing their benevolence and emergency relief, they want to do more than just help people get by or avert the next crisis. They want to help them and even the whole community to get ahead to a better quality of life and a brighter future. Exciting examples include Stillwater Cares. You're going to hear from Quinn in a little bit. In Oklahoma, Watered Gardens in Missouri, where groups are working together to break people out of the cycle of poverty. These are amazing works. I'm confident that this may just be the new face of charity driven by community collaboration. So we at Simon Solutions are very excited because we collaborate with helping organizations all across the country. And together we are co-creating innovative uses of networking technology that are making a real and lasting difference. These are helping to sustain and advance the missions of organizations that are dedicated to transforming people's lives. We partner with many food banks, regional-wise. We're in major cities across the United States. We're working with them to end hunger in America. We work with hospitals to improve community health. And we support organizations that fight human trafficking. Through collaboration, we hope to reduce the complexity of helping those in need. We want to make it easier and more effective for any person, any group, any organization to do their part in winning the war on poverty. And may I suggest that Americans across the country believe that now is the time for churches, neighbors, charities, business, elected officials, and others to come together and do the following: increase communication, cooperation, resourcefulness in our communities, organize forums that help everyone better understand the needs of people in their community, to implement lasting solutions through multi-sector collaboration and collective action. Al, let's look at the next slide. This is what really excites me. We are very excited that multi-sector community collaboration supported by our networking technology is actually transforming the helping systems from a social service to a social change model. Unfortunately, a social service model can foster a fragmented and limited service delivery system where helping agencies are vastly disconnected and they don't even talk to each other. Oftentimes referred to as silos, agencies work independent of each other and compete for the greatest amount of isolated impact, credibility, and funding. This causes wasteful duplication of efforts and a dysfunctional referral system that frustrates and discourages people who are searching for a comprehensive solution. People view services as transactional, kind of a quick exchange process or a temporary handout. It has people running all over town, agency to agency, trying to find help, but often told, "I'm sorry, due to a lack of resources, we can't help you today, but come back later. we might be able to help you. But even though a social service model endeavors to get the right resources into the right hands, it can still be short-sighted, where good intentions are simply not enough. Now, a social change model is more promising. It breathes new life into a community's helping system, empowering agencies to maximize their individual caring power by combining their strengths and resources with others for greater impact. Churches, nonprofits, healthcare providers, and others are better able to communicate and rely upon each other, fostering a well-connected and collaborative service delivery system. Coordinated efforts are streamlined, creating an effective referral system that encourages people and offers them hope. People view services as transformational. That is a holistic process that's designed to get a hand up to a healthier, more prosperous, and meaningful life. This happens because agencies share best practices, they're coordinating their resources, and they are measuring their results together. It makes it possible for everyone in a community to clearly define what works and what doesn't. A social change model offers communities extraordinary opportunities to make a real and lasting difference where everyone is satisfied with the results. The people are better served, the agencies are better informed, and the community is better engaged. Al, next slide. Let me give you a quick example. An emergency change, a social change model is in Charleston, South Carolina. Since 2009, our care networking technology called Charity Tracker has served as a catalyst for bringing together over 300 organizations, 900 caregivers who are collectively engaged in the war on poverty. Charity Tracker was first introduced to Charleston by Chuck Coward, a local church leader. How cool is that? Today, the Safety Net Charity Tracker Network, which is administered by the Trident United Way, now serves 3 counties and is comprised of multi-sector partners, including churches, charitable nonprofits, healthcare providers, schools, and more. Together, they have served over 120,000 people with over 500,000 charitable acts of kindness, and together they have invested out of their wallets, back pockets, $8.4 million in community assistance. We recently did a case study of Charleston. We talked with Kathy Easley, who is the director of the United Way and the member of the Body of Christ, and a community servant. While building the care network, Kathy knew that churches play a vital role in the prevention and alleviation of poverty. She desperately wanted to see the church engage and not abdicate their work with the poor to professionals or to simply sit back and send money to the United Way. A community conversation in Charleston revealed that churches did not want to work in silos. They wanted to communicate and share information with each other about the people they loved and served, and they wanted to find a better, wiser way to say yes to anyone seeking assistance. One of my favorite stories about Charleston involves the bulletin feature of Charity Tracker. This enables any church or agency on the network to quickly find resources for those in need, a process which can take hours or days, but now, using networking technology, can be reduced to minutes. Kathy told me that a bulletin went out about a woman whose sole income came from sewing. That morning, her sewing machine broke, so she went into a church looking for assistance. Within 5 minutes of the bulletin going out, there were offers of 5 machines from other agencies connected on the network. She was back to work that very night. The crisis was averted by increased connectivity and the collective caring power of a community. Isn't that cool? Let's go to the next slide. I'm going to tell you another example. It's another community where Charity Tracker is today. It's in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's world famous, known as the birthplace of Elvis Presley. But it's also considered one of the remarkable stories of social and economic development in history. 1936, a tornado ripped through Tupelo, killing over 200 people. In 1937, a bitter labor strike scarred the community. Businesses were struggling, the economy was failing, and most residents were deeply entrenched in poverty. By 1940, Lee County was the poorest county in America. But in the late 40s, things began to change. A local Presbyterian minister and a newspaper owner named George McLean encouraged a small handful of community and business leaders to engage in collaboration and collective impact strategies. The results were amazing. By 1967, Lee County was creating more jobs than all Mississippi counties combined. Since the 70s, tremendous investments have been made in education, workforce development. Today, Lee County is the second most prosperous county in Mississippi. Volunteerism is up 300%. And their charitable giving is among the top 2% in America. For many years, their 10,000-seat capacity Coliseum hosted an annual conference for economic and community developers from around the world who came to see and learn what was so amazing about the Tupelo model, which many call a miracle. When George McLean was asked the secrets of his success, he would simply smile, and this is what he would say: "Everything we do is rooted with biblical principles. And we firmly believe that human resources are the most vital community assets, and that the development of the community depends on the fullest possible development of each person in the community." In closing, may I suggest that we are at a tipping point in the war on poverty in America. Now, I don't think I could have said this 10 years ago, but I believe now I can. Right now, we have unprecedented opportunity to collectively empower catalysts for transforming lives and communities. And these catalysts include the compassion of the church, networking technology, education like Missions 3.0, and the best practices shared by many that you've heard today. And we can use their combined strengths to break the stronghold of poverty in America and restore hope back to people's lives. But making this reality may be as simple as ramping up our faith and shifting our conversations from what's wrong and how do we fix it to what's possible and who cares enough to act. Thank you.